Hello, I am a failed scientific experiment that the federal government doesn't want you to know about. Green, one of the colours of all time. Green represents many things. It is often a beacon of positivity. It is synonymous with nature and good health. It represents happiness and joy. It is the symbol of allowing traffic to move. At the same time, it can also be quite negative. It represents envy and disgust. It is the colour of awful things such as mould, baby vomit and cucumbers. It can even cause deep, deep trauma. My auntie's uncle's auntie's uncle's auntie was looked at by a person with green eyes. She died 58 years later. Sorry, I get emotional whenever I talk about it. Green is a coin with two sides. One is joyous and beautiful, the other is gross and toxic. It's also a colour that appears a lot in video games. Many levels wear this colour, sometimes in a good, beautiful way, and sometimes in a bad, radioactive way. And today, I'm here to talk about some of the levels that are green. Is it best green levels? No. Worst green levels? No. It's just top 10 green levels. There's no specific criteria for this, the levels just have to be predominantly green. How am I going to decide who's on top? I don't know, I'm just going to make it up as I go along. I genuinely do not know what this is going to be about. I don't know what I'm going to say, and there's a very good chance that this will be shit. So, without further ado, here are the top 10 green levels. Kicking us off at number 10 is Bianco Hills from Super Mario Sunshine. Bianco Hills is the first proper level in the game, and while I'm not sure if it's pronounced Bianco or Bianco, I am sure that it's green. This is traditional in the world of Mario. As far as I know, nearly every first level in Mario games is a beautiful, cheerful green environment, and Bianco Hills is no different. There's so much green to admire here. The level is full of rolling hills, sporting a very vibrant green. Green moss and plant life climb up the riverbanks. That same shade of green can be found around the structures and pathways of the town at the base of the hills. You can even see green plant life integrated into the architecture of the town itself, with leaves that line the perimeter of the roofing. What I really love about this is how it shows harmony. It demonstrates that nature and civilization can coexist and even complement each other, creating something beautiful. The world could really learn from something like this. Bianco Hills even invests in green energy, specifically wind, with many windmills and sails dotted around the area. It's not only green in visuals, but also in its environmental footprint. One of my favourite parts of Bianco Hills is the second encounter with Petey Piranha. In this situation, a lot of Bianco Hills is covered in brown sludge. I'm not saying it is poo, but it does look like it. That's not the bit that I love though, just making it very clear, I do not love shit. What I love is using Mario's flood machine to wash away that poo, revealing the majestic green beneath. It's satisfying, it's sensual, it's magnificent. Oh yeah, baby. Wash away the filth and reveal that sweet, juicy green. But while I admire the use of green in Bianco Hills, there is a problem. Like a modern workplace lacking in diversity, it's too white. The buildings, the walls, the pathways, there's a lot of white going on. The main features are white. Green simply surrounds them. So while the green is great, the green is not in control. And because of that, I can't rate it any higher than number 10. Following up at number 9, we have the Graveyard from Medieval. The Graveyard is interesting in that it shows off a very different side of green to what we see in Bianco Hills. Where Bianco Hills' greens are very lively and bright, the greens you see in the Graveyard are quite dreary and bleak. That's not to say that there's no life in these greens at all. The level is literally home to shiny green fountains of life. It doesn't get livelier than that, and standing in those fountains is immensely satisfying. But the rest of the Graveyard's greens do come off as more somber. The environment is absolutely coated in green grass, as most real-life graveyards often are, and it's very consistent with it. There's nary a corner in the graveyard where the green weeds of death do not lurk. Even when surrounded by dirt, fences and cobblestone, the green stands out as the dominant force in this environment. It truly is an inspiration to us all. The greenery owns this level, but it's not just the environment that showcases green. The graveyard is infested with undead zombies whose skin is a very sickly corpse green. Sir Dan has to face off against the green horde of zombies while romping across the green grass. It's a double green delight. That said, it is a very short level, so there isn't a whole lot of green to be seen beyond the grass beneath your feet and the zombies eating your ass. And even if there was more, the game's draw distance is so shocking that you wouldn't be able to see it anyway. The graveyard has a good amount of green applied in a variety of different ways, but it's not enough to see it come any higher than number 9. At number 8, we have the Lair of the Beast from Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. The Lair of the Beast is yet another different take on what green can be. As opposed to the lively greens and sickly greens we've seen so far, the greens found in this level lean more towards the ominous realm of green. There are some nice natural greens in here, the moss and leaves surrounding the trees are subtle but pleasant. The fact that this level takes place in the dead of night gives those natural dark greens an eerie sort of quality. This quality is amplified by the level's well-lit areas. In the torchlight, the greens really pop, giving you this feeling of warmth and safety, which really contrasts with the dark and almost threatening greens that surround those areas. But the bulk of the green in this level comes from the disgusting swamp. Kids, this is why you wipe your ass. If you don't, this awful stinky sludge fills the crack. The swampy green sludge is present everywhere throughout the level, and it is the main hazard. It's a dangerous, threatening body of green, made even more dangerous and threatening by the presence of the beast. The beast is there, lurking in the swampy, stagnant water. You can't see it, but its presence is felt. You know it's somewhere beneath the green, just waiting for an opportunity to strike. And then suddenly, as you're making your way around the swamp, navigating the trees and vines, it strikes. It's not green, but it has green saliva, so it's close enough. The Lair of the Beast is strong in the green department, but in a way that's more subtle than we've seen before. And besides, the place is littered with plenty of green clue bottles that are very satisfying to pick up. Who wouldn't be happy with that use of green? The Lair of the Beast is strong all around when it comes to green, but not stronger than the levels we have to come. Next up at number 7 is Moon Fondue from Spyro 2 Season of Flame. Moon Fondue is a very unusual level just on its own. As a concept, it's a very strange level, and with that comes a very strange usage of green. Moon Fondue takes place on either the moon or an alien planet. It is clearly made of cheese, evident by the mice that inhabit the place, the various mouse traps that are placed throughout, and also the very ground itself, which is obviously inspired by Swiss cheese. Any cheese fan worth their cheese would be able to see that. Goes great with the name Moon Fondue, I think. The level makes very heavy use of green. We've got a very striking emerald green for the cheese ground. This may seem like an odd choice of colour for cheese ground, but this actually isn't uncommon in the world of cheese. There are quite a few cheeses that are intentionally made to be mouldy, and mould is often very green. This kind of cheese is called blue cheese, but it looks green. Trust me, I had an eye test not too long ago, and I've got nearly perfect vision. This green blue cheese land is surrounded by a green liquid, which I'm guessing is lime juice. I don't know what else you would pair with green cheese. There are also splats of what I think is melted green cheese at various points in the level too. Either that or a very sick man spunked all over the place. The point is, there is a lot of green going on. Moon Fondue even features a special lightning breath power-up used for completing certain objectives and defeating certain enemies, and would you believe it? It's also green. Moon Fondue is overflowing with green. If that's so, why is it only number 7? Well, it's just not a very fun level. Green is all it has. Without green, it's nothing. Coming in at number 6 is Disco Inferno from Gex. Disco Inferno, despite what the name implies, has nothing to do with disco and only a little bit to do with Inferno. This level, thematically, is in a very similar boat to the Graveyard. They're both heavily inspired by the realm of spookiness and the undead, but as actual levels, they couldn't be more different. As an environment, I'm not entirely sure what Disco Inferno is actually meant to be. I assume it's some sort of crypt. That's the most logical thing it could be. It has the coffins and the skulls and whatnot, but you'd probably also find all of that in Jeffrey Dahmer's bedroom, so who knows? I don't know any crypts that are laid out like this, but the home of a serial killer? I can see it. Anyway, as anyone with eyes will tell you, Disco Inferno is very, very green, even more green than Moon Fondue. Almost every part of it is green. The walls are green, the floor is green, the background is green, the water is green, even Gex himself is green. There's so much green, but unfortunately, it's not a very interesting green. The green doesn't mean anything, it's just there. Disco Inferno might look green, but it doesn't feel green. I'm not getting a green vibe from this. It has the quantity, but not the quality. This green has no life, and it has no reason to be green at all. Grey would work just as well here, and could you say that for the other levels I've talked about so far? No. So even though it's a fun green level, it has to settle for number 6. I'll reward the amount of green, but I will not reward the green itself. We're halfway through, and taking the number 5 spot is Green Forest / White Jungle from Sonic Adventure 2. Yes, they're technically different levels, but to me they're basically indistinguishable. These levels feature a very rich and lush green. They're very densely packed with green goodness. Lots of nature, lots of flora and foliage, lots of mossy tree trunks. This is an extremely green level. It's almost a shame that it's from Sonic Adventure 2, because it means you blast through it with such a breakneck pace that you hardly get to take it all in. It has a great sense of scale as well. The many tall trees that surround the actual level make you feel like you're in this massive jungle, tricking you into thinking it just goes on forever as you swing and sprint through it. I find that it stimulates the senses too. This is one of the few levels out there where I feel like I can smell it. Like, I know I can't physically smell it, but I know what it would smell like if I could. And that smell is green. It's a leafy green sort of smell. This level also gets bonus points for being the location of that iconic Sonic and Shadow fight where they talk over each other. And I can't not mention the fact that the level is called Green Forest. It has green in the name. That should make it the mother of all green levels. Unfortunately, that is countered out by the fact that Shadow's version is called White Jungle, which I don't understand. Why would you call it that? The only white thing about this jungle is the fact that I'm the one playing the level. There are no other whites here. Besides that, these are some solid green levels and deserve to share the number 5 spot. It's about bloody time we got to number 4, because this spot is being occupied by Bubblegloop Swamp from Banjo-Kazooie. What I really love about this level is how it basically incorporates all the different incarnations of green we've seen so far. So many different shades applied in so many different ways. It is green galore. It has the disgusting and dangerous green swampy ooze, it has the vibrant green trees and vines, it has mossy green floors, it features a choir of green turtles, and the bear and bird duo themselves can transform into a crocodile who is green. There's even a power-up that lets you survive the damage caused by the green swampy sludge by wearing green gumboots. There's no part of this level that isn't in some way influenced by or related to green, and that's the sign of a really solid green level. It shows off the good and bad of the colour. The only thing wrong with this level is that there aren't very many pure greens. I don't mean to come across as a guy who's big on colour purity, that makes me sound like a racist. But there are lots of greens in this level that intermingle with the yellows and browns that I don't like as much. That really does sound bad. While I appreciate the sheer amount of green on display here, there are only a few shades of green that are actually nice to look at. Still, I can't deny the incredible amount of green going on here in this swamp, and I'm happy to reward that with the number 4 spot. Climbing up to number 3 is Slime Climb from Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Conquest. Slime Climb takes place in an environment that you wouldn't actually expect to see much green in. This is a pirate ship level, so presumably this is all happening out at sea. Like many levels in Donkey Kong Country 2, it's a very tough platforming challenge, and this one is about ascending the ship's mast to reach the very top. Green is not the sort of colour that comes to mind when you think of pirate ships. It's more of a blue environment. The blue ocean, the blue sky, the blue balls of the crew from being at sea for so long away from their wives. Although let's be honest, the crew almost definitely fucked each other. There's no way they weren't scrubbing each other's poop decks, come on, we all know it. Despite this being a traditionally blue theme, Slime Climb manages to pull off being green. It's another ominous green like in Lair of the Beast. It's dark, eerie and threatening, an ambient energy that is amplified by the ever-rising slime, which is famously green. Nickelodeon would know that better than anyone. It pairs well with the ominous green sky, as well as the enemies who are occasionally green too. The only thing that disturbs me about this level is that it isn't actually slime that's rising, it's just water. If you're just in the water, the Kongs are fine. It's the fish that kills you, not the slime, and the fish isn't even green, it's pink. That revelation makes me feel very, very betrayed. It's not slime, it's just green water. Heartbreaking. Still, Slime Climb is a very tough, very cool, and very green level, and I think it's more than worthy of taking the number 3 spot. Everybody shut the fuck up! We're at number 2, and that spot is being held by Boiler Room Doom from Crash Twinsanity. Boiler Room Doom isn't one of the best levels in Crash Twinsanity, but it certainly is the greenest. It is an aggressively green level, and this is a kind of green we haven't really seen yet in this list. We've seen some lush, natural greens, we've seen some gross, swampy greens, but here in Boiler Room Doom, we're seeing that bright, radioactive green. It's very striking, and it's everywhere. You see it in the pipework that strangles every corner of the level, you see it in the deadly green pit of death, where its acidic properties will definitely kill you, you see it in the gushing, spraying green fumes that fill the air. This green is everywhere, and because of how the level works, you really have no choice but to take it all in. In Boiler Room Doom, you need to use Cortex stuck in a pipe to activate platform mechanisms. Doing this requires spinning valves, which is where the action comes from, but when Cortex is sent through the pipe, Crash is idle. There's nothing to do but wait there for usually around a minute, after which the platforms appear. In this time, all you can really do is take in all the green. Observe Cortex going through the green pipes, be wary of the green acid below, and inhale the toxic green fumes. This level has a green that is very in your face and impossible to escape. Boiler Room Doom is an unbelievably green level, and the only way you can get away from this aggressive green is by defeating Dingodile, and he is the reason why Boiler Room Doom is not the winner. His arena isn't green, it's orange. So while Boiler Room Doom is almost entirely glowing with green, it's not green enough to take the number 1 spot. I think we've had a lot of fun talking about these green levels so far. I don't remember any of it, it's been a bit of a blur. I don't know where I am, I can't feel my toes, and I can't feel your toes. My brain is an absolute mess. But one thing I do know is that there are far more green levels than I could ever hope to fit into a top 10, so here are some levels I considered including, but ultimately did not. They're probably green with envy because they didn't make the cut, so let's honour them as some honourable mentions. The Fairy Glade from Rayman 2. It's green. Not the whole thing though, there's a bit where it stops being green and becomes brown and grey, which is famously not green. But there's a fair amount of green in there, a pretty nice green too. Gu Manchu's Tower from Croc 2. It's also green. It's not a very striking or interesting green, but it's still green. Some key enemies and Croc himself are also green, so he gets a few bonus points there too. Calamityville Horror from Crash of the Titans. It's green. There's a lot of green actually. The level features the sludges, which are very annoying and strong green enemies, so it's got that going for it. A lot of green. Too bad it's a shit level. And now for the big moment. The level taking home the green medal and being crowned the green level champion is Sewers from Futurama. When I think of green levels in video games, this level is the one that comes to mind. It's so fucking green. From start to finish, the level is completely green. The moment you enter it, you think, wow, that's a lot of green. The walls and ground of the vile sewer tunnels? Green. The hazardous waste splashed all over the ground? Green. The dangerous sludge liquid that fills the sewers? Green. The crocodiles? Green. The evil, violent mutants that inhabit the sewers? Green. The money you find lying around? Green. The slurm? Green. The very air that shrouds everything off in the distance? Green. It's all green, baby! No one can deny the sheer amount of green going on in this level. It's honestly impressive. And while other levels like Disco Inferno are also completely green, the green found in this level has meaning. It demonstrates the danger you're in. It perfectly suits the creepy, stressful atmosphere of the sewers, and most of all, it makes sense. There's no other colour that this level could be. This level wasn't made to be green. Green was made to be this level. It's a perfect, consistent execution of green. And while it may not be the most original usage of green that we've seen, it is certainly the strongest. These greens, despite the filth they're supposed to represent, are beautiful. The only way the sewers can be improved is if Fry himself was green. Maybe we could substitute him for one of the mindless zombies from the graveyard. They've got roughly the same amount of brain power, I doubt you'd even notice. The sewers is, without question, deserving of the number 1 spot on this list. And there we have it, the top 10 green levels. What have we learned from all of this? We've learned that green is a very versatile colour, with a wide range of applications and uses in the world of video games. We've learned that even though it's a very versatile colour with a wide range of applications and uses in the world of video games, it's still a pretty mediocre colour. And most of all, we've learned that this was a complete waste of everyone's time. We have gained nothing by talking about how green these levels are. In fact, I dare say that I've lost things from this. I've spent hours sitting here looking through all the games I've played, picking out these green levels. I've spent hours sitting here typing up a script discussing how green these levels are. I've spent hours sitting here with a microphone in front of my face talking about how green these levels are. I've spent hours sitting here putting this all together so that other people with hopes and aspirations can listen to me talk about how green these levels are. And what do I have to show for it? Fucking nothing! I thank you for your time.